Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we're going to be talking about a Rampage jungle build guide. I mean, he's basically a jungler only ever. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. We're going to talk about a couple of variants because there is a build out there that is getting played a little bit, or a start to a build, and I'm going to show you a couple of things about the way that you physically play him because I get a question that I get asked all the time. I'm going to go ahead and answer it in this video. Drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Predecessor content. Let's go ahead and jump into this build guide for Rampage. So first and foremost, there's two starts. I'll tell you which one I like. Oh, you're always going tank crest too. We'll talk about the crest options here in a second. You always go tank crest. There's two starts. I'm going to tell you which one is getting played like competitively and kind of the benefit to it, and I'm going to tell you the one that I like. So the one that's getting played and has like a competitive angle to it is Basilisk start. Basilisk is an incredibly strong bruiser item. This is true. There's no way of getting around it. It's a very, very strong item. 40 physical power, 350 health, 15 ability haste, and then you have the corrode passive, which is the anti-armor shredding passive. So you reduce their physical armor by 4% for 3 seconds. Stacks up to 6 times, a lot of armor shred, and you deal an additional 4%, deal 4% targets missing health as damage when they're eroded. So this is a very, very strong item. The haste is very, very good for Rampage. You can get multiple rocks out. This is a very strong item, but it is not a tanky item, right? It is going to make you do more damage, and Rampage does have some good physical scaling. He does have a damage angle to him. You can dive in. It makes him really, really strong in the early to mid game, but it doesn't scale super well because naturally, if you're playing a tank and you're Rampage, you want to be tanky. So this is a start. I think for like solo queue feels really, really good. For competitive teams that know how to take advantage of it, it feels really, really good. It is definitely a viable start. Personally, for me, I love just that feeling of being a full tank, right? I love buying my brimstone after my first back. You start with the vitality beads, you do one full clear, you have enough for the brimstone. I like buying my brimstone. I like finishing off my fire blossom, and I'm straight into being that like frontliner tank that does damage when I dive on an enemy. If I hit him with a rock, they're going to take this additional damage from Fire Blossom. Y'all should know and love Fire Blossom at this point, but I'll read off the stats. 300 health, 200 mana, 40 physical armor. So this is like a really solid item that has Heat Wave. So you're just doing damage around your body. The Brimstone is your jungle clear item. You're just ripping through people, right? Like you're tanky. You get in there. This scales off of your health. It's an item that is very, very good. This is my personal favorite start. After this item, the build has a couple of options. Actually, Rampage, he can pretty much use any of the tank options. And I think that this is how it's really hard to build a 3-slot on Rampage because of that fact. So if you're playing against like a Chimera, a Narbash, people that are going to be using a lot of healing, you can instantly rush your Tainted Guard. Tainted Guard is a phenomenal item for Rampage. It's like Rampage is like you pick your start, whatever you want it to be, and then you build what you need. If you're going against a very magic heavy team, magic power heavy team, you can go to magic power, and you can see, what do you need? Well, Void Helm's not terrible on Rampage because this is increasing his healing from his ultimate. But Crystalline Cuirass is also a very, very good healing or magic armor item. They both have haste. They both have health. They both have magic armor. This one's going to bring you a lot of magic armor. This one's going to bring you a lot of magic armor with the stacks, and it's going to give you some chase down potential with the increased movement speed. This one is going to give you increased healing from all sources. So that's from yourself, your ultimate, and this is on immobilizing. So if you rock somebody, you're also going to heal for 3% of your max health. So really, really solid magic armor items for Rampage. Now, if you have an option, which I don't know that it's as great as I used to like it, I like doing double tainted as well. If you like, say you're playing against a Kai, say they have a Countess, right? This is much more for like something like solo queue, or say they have like Kai, Narbash, or Sevarog, some combination of like the physical healer, like Chimera, and like a Sevarog or a Countess. You can do double tainted. That way you have the Tainted Guard, which is going to be blighting them when they hit you, but then you have the Tainted Bastion, which is you're going to be your magic armor item, which is going to give you 5% mitigation, but that's doubled against targets that are blighted. So if you have a Tainted Guard and say the carry is hitting you, he becomes blighted, then your mitigation goes from 5% damage mitigation, and this is 5% damage taken, any damage, to 10% damage taken. So you can build an extra mitigation passive. But I think that you have to have the kind of condition of them actually having the healers that you want to slow down with the extra tainted, because you can't stack the heal and the anti-healing. The anti-healing is the same, but you can essentially increase that mitigation while anti-healing those people. So definitely not the first go-to choice. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, which again, you know, if you say your Fire Blossom start or your Basilisk start, a really phenomenal armor item is Elefrost. This is absolutely a staple in the majority of tank builds right now. It is a armor, health, tank item that does damage. So 400 health, 35 physical armor, 15 ability haste. So ability haste, again, really, really strong. You have that Frostblade passive. So essentially, you use an ability, you auto attack, you're going to smack them for a huge amount of damage, and then you're going to slow them for 20%. This is also going to bring you back some mana. So really, really good armor item. Another more aggressive armor item for Rampage is Citadel. Citadel is 35 physical power, so this plays into that bruiser theme. You can see it's even classified as a fighter item. 200 health, that's great for being tankier. 40 physical armor, that's great for being tanky. Then you have fortification, gain 6 physical armor, and then for each nearby hero. So this can go up to 70 physical armor. This is a very, very powerful armor and damage item. And then when you're near them, their physical armor gets decreased. So this is also a form of penetration, so to speak, because you're reducing their physical armor by 20%. Now, it's not the tankiest item out there, so you're definitely like leaning into like less tankiness. Very, very strong item. Now, one of the strongest tank items for physical armor, Stonewall. We can't ignore Stonewall. This is a ton of armor at 70 physical armor, a little bit of health at 250, 150% base health regen, which Rampage loves. You have the Shockwave passive, which is a 90-second cooldown when dropping below 40%. You stun everybody near you. That buys you time to heal. It buys you time to reposition. It buys you time to throw another rock. And then you have Bulwark, which is just physical damage mitigation. So more physical, or like more just mitigation against physical damage. This is great against frontline heavy teams. If you have like Richter Grux, if you have Chimera, if you have the people that are going to be on top of you, on top of the fact that you're going to be getting hit by physical damage from a carry anyways, this is a really good item. Stonewall is probably one of the physical armor items that I can point to and say you should probably have this in almost every single game. I say almost because there still could be teams that just aren't that engage heavy that you might run into. But again, I'm actually going to be honest and tell you that Rampage is one of those heroes that is very, very hard to tell you a build for. I can show you what builds look like for him, but to actually just fully give you a build is really hard. And also, 2 and 3 slots for tanks, it depends on what order you want to buy them because it depends on how the game is going. If they have a mid laner that's getting fed, you should probably build your magic armor second. If they have a carry that's getting fed or doing well, or the enemy jungler's physical damage, he's doing well, you should probably build a physical armor item. So I'm going to just run through a couple of 3 slots so you get an idea of what it looks like. So, all right, let's say you Fire Blossom start, you go Elefrost, and then you're going to go into Crystalline Cuirass. Cool, that could be a start. Keep in mind, Fire Blossom could also be Basilisk in this scenario. Okay, that could be a start. Let's say you're playing against a Chimera. You need to, you know, he's the jungler. You're a little bit worried about him. Go Tainted immediately. But Magic Armor is still something that you're a little bit worried about. Maybe they have a Sever or Countess as well. Double Tainted. Super, super niche. Definitely still strong. All right, they don't have the Sever the Chimera. All right, that's fine. Void Helm or Crystalline Cuirass. Honestly, either one. I think Crystalline Cuirass edges out the Void Helm pick a little bit, but this is definitely still something to think about, especially if you have healing on your team. Like, say you have like a phase that's going to bring some healing. Say you have a Narbash that's going to bring some healing. Consider this item very heavily. Crystalline Cuirass. This could be a jungle. This could be a tank 3-set start. All right. 4th slot. I really think Citadel should probably fit in the 4th slot. I'm not saying always, but dude, this item can come online for you and do big things. Okay, let's say that they don't have the Kai, or maybe they do have the Kai, but they're also very frontline heavy. You think that somebody else on your team is going to get tainted, or you see that somebody else on your team is going to get tainted, but you are worried about the physical damage. Stonewall. All right, second item, Stonewall, cool. That's going to help me against the Grux, right? That's going to help me against the Richter that's running in on me. That's going to help me against the Fang Mao that's been, you know, jumping and you know, whatever, right? And then right after that, what do you build? Well, you need magic armor. All right, Crystalline Cuirass. You get my point, right? The tank items, you just need to know which one of them are really good. If you have a magic damage heavy team, if your team is heavy magic damage, Flux Matrix. Like, this isn't going to increase your damage per se, because the only magic damage you do is your rock, so technically will increase your damage. It does also bring you a lot of haste. It's got good stats on it. But I think that this would be better on Rampage if you're specifically playing with like a magic damage heavy team. If you are, cool. Like, say you have a Kwang off lane, or like a Shinbi off lane, and then like a traditional mage mid, and then say you have like some magic damage in the support role. Okay, pick a Flux. That could be good. So you just need to know what tank items are good. So I'm going to try to do that very simply. Flex Matrix is good. Tainted Bastion is good in a very niche situations. The Void Helm is good. Crystalline Cuirass is good. Physical armor items. You have Elefrost, very good. Fire Blossom, obviously. Tainted Guard is good. Citadel's good. Frost Guard is good in niche situations when you need to reduce their attack speed, so keep that in mind. Stonewall is good. Other items, Giant's Rings, Warden's Faith, they're okay. They're okay, but you don't tend to go into it too much. And actually, for all things considered, I think that Giant's Ring is not that bad because it does bring you 8% of damage mitigated on casting your ultimate, which for someone like Rampage is really, really good. It also brings you cooldown reduction. So I think that there's room to play with this item, but this item has kind of gotten pushed to the side a little bit for me. Definitely something I need to re-explore. Okay. Now I want to go out, grab my abilities really quickly and just show you a couple things. I just need to get to level 6. And I want to show you something. All right, we got to level 7, sure. Okay, one of the biggest questions I get asked, and we're going to grab haste, is this is your normal jump? This is a short jump. People are like, how do you do that? You just auto attack. So in the air, you just auto attack. It'll bring you down. People always do this. They're going too far. They don't want to overshoot their target. So this is a max range leap onto him. Cool. But if you're here, you need to auto attack so you come down. Perfect. Okay, other than that, all you need to know is that his abilities are augmented by your ultimate. So, you never want to do something like this, or I would say not never, but you rarely want to pull a rock, ult, and then go into an ultimate. Because if you do that, you're not going to get the instant rock. What you could have done is literally just like, say you're approaching a team fight, you can just like ult in and rock if you need to, or you can ult in, dive in, slam down, throw a rock instantly and guarantee it, right? So just get into the play patterns of Rampage and you're going to be just fine. Honestly, that's going to pretty much cover most of Rampage. I think, like I said, the hardest thing is like, I don't want to get here and just pick a build for you and tell you to go build that every game, although it would probably work just fine. Like, for example, if you built this, I'm going to build a build for you every single game. If you built this every single game, you would do just fine. But it's better for you to learn the items, and it's better for you to understand why some of the items are good. So friends, there you have it. Again, keep in mind that Basilisk start. I definitely think it's something to be played around with. As for the crest, I really think it's Saphir's Mantle 90% of the time. If you're building the Fire Blossom start, and you're not looking to put any like a ton of magic damage, or if you're not building an item that doesn't have armor, honestly, Razorback's not bad. Let's read Razorback if you're not familiar with it. It's got stats. I'm not going to read that. Active, Echidna, I don't know how to say that. Gain 25% physical armor and magic armor for 6 seconds. Reflect 15% of pre-mitigated damage received from heroes as damage. And then, you do the Creep Slayer. Saphir's Mantle is like infinite scaling. So Saphir's Mantle is literally never wrong because you're just infinitely scaling your health with this, which is phenomenal. It plays into, any item that has health scaling. And then, like I said, Razorback, not bad either. So consider those two crests. You can't really go wrong with them. Just make sure you're using them. All right, friends, drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Predecessor content. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm probably going to be doing a Kalari video next. And yeah, we'll go from there. As always, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them. And I'll see you on the next video.